Welcome back, it's your boy Kaizen, and now we're level 115. What do I do? I think that's what you guys have been waiting for. The entire world of DFO is open to us. What should we do first? Great question. First and foremost, nitty-gritty details aside, let's go through some dailies. Dailies is what keeps us going through this game. It's what will enable us to burn through some of our fatigue, to grind, obtain gear, etc. We can access our missions through this notepad called DFO Mission. You can also get it from the menu. I don't have it enabled, but you can edit it and it will give us a plethora of options, including the DFO Mission. It will also be available as an icon here, again in the form of a clipboard. DFO mission is what will give us some direction. We can clear optimal level dungeons, use roadmap warp points, or if you don't fancy any of these, you can also change the daily mission. Just remember that every time you change it, it will cost a small amount of gold. And if you clear the special daily mission, it will give you some hell materials to run the Disciple of Doom. Next, you have the weekly mission. Weekly mission are special missions that require to do special content, such as running a certain amount of optimal level dungeons, clearing a raid, clearing a Legion dungeon or a special advanced dungeon, defeating special bosses, or partying. And then once you clear the weekly mission, you're going to obtain an Abyssal Doom Oracle materials to access the Abyssal Doom area. Oh, what? You still have a lot more FP? I got you. Access the raid channel and it will give you different kinds of raids and Legion dungeons for you to access. You also have advanced dungeons that you can access weekly. Each of your character has a limit of 2 dungeons to obtain rewards from. What kind of rewards are you looking for? Well, mostly the advanced dungeons will provide you with Doom Oracles. The harder the dungeon, the higher the multiplier of the Doom Oracle rates. It also has a chance of giving you distinct gear, which is not unlike your regular equipment, but it will give you special effects. Let's go back to the raid channel. Again, you can access this through the menu option. The raid channel and regular channels. Area channels have no difference to it other than the fact if you're giving you bonus XP for leveling up. And then these are special channels that don't provide much to combat content. Auction house refers to the location where you can auction, where the system will auction off special items depending on the content that you ran. So let's say you ran Venus and you get a special coin, then you will obtain, you will be showcased auctioned items from Venus dungeon, specifically like fusion stones from Venus, etc. Bleeding mines is another way to obtain gear through fusing treasure chests. And then this is the monthly challenges for DFO. These ones also provide you with rewards. Again, if you click through, if you hover over each content and you hover over the expectable rewards, you can click it and it will show you what kind of reward you can obtain. Specifically, Temple of Death will give you unique gear, which is the Dark Warp Abyss. Same goes for Azure Main, and on top of that, other set equipment gear ranging from rare to epic, and who knows, maybe you might even get primeval rewards. Legion dungeons, this is where we get our the start of our fusion stones for level 115. Most of these are old content and you'd only get them for cosmetics. Forest of Awakening has a cosmetic reward. Dusky Island has a cosmetic reward. But in terms of upgrading your character, Venus is your go-to dungeon through the form of set fusion stones. Fusion stones that will give you additional set points for the current gear that you currently have. And then raid, we have 2 important raids to deal with. Nabble is our first level 115 raid, and it will give us plenty of rewards. The main takeaway for the Nabble raid is upgrading our weapon, and it will give us additional effects. for a weapon, either damage, extra cooldown reduction, or speeds. Now let's go through our checklist. Content wise, we have daily and weekly missions. We also have advanced dungeons, which are available to each character twice per character per week. And then we also have Legion dungeons, which will provide us mostly with set Legion stones. This one will be once per character per week. And then we have raids. The Nabble raid gives us materials. Will also give us set fusion stones as well, and also weapon upgrade. It's important to note that the advanced dungeons are open any day of the week. Same with Legion dungeons, in any day of the week. Raids, however, they are mostly open from Thursday to Sunday, but older raids will start to give you access at the earliest Wednesday. Nabble raid is still pretty fresh, so Nabble raid is open on Thursday, Sunday. Same goes for in a Dusk War, but I won't cover that just yet. Maybe I can just put this as food for thought. And then if you want Adventurer's Will, there's also what's it called, Azrahan. This will give you Adventurer's Will, but this is the more important part. Thursday through Sunday. Now Nabble raid does require you to join multiple people. But there's a version of the raid where you can solo raid available, but you get less rewards. All right, and then that's most of the important content. Let's find a way to spend our fatigue. Most of the time we're spending our fatigue on running, got the name already, Disciple of Doom. This is basically our grind area on pieces. If you want to earn some gold, there's also track Malefic Energy Arm. So you run Disciple of Doom and Abyss Disciple of Doom to run for your gear, and then track Malefic Energy to run some gold. And if you have completed just about everything, you'll be able to run through DFO no problem, be able to get enough fame to unlock more content and get stronger and have access to raids, be able to do more damage, yada yada yada. So content wise, that is what you will be doing at level 115. As for your gear, checklist will be to make sure that your character matches your character status. So the highlighted stats are the important ones, but even more important are these specific stats that determine the damage type of your class. Damage type, character, physical or magic, percent, break it down, percent physical, magic, percent or fixed. So for starters, we want to match the status of our character. We want to prioritize the damage type of character because that's where most of the min-maxing will be doing. And it doesn't have to be min-maxing, it's just applying the proper stuff for your character. So first, let's go through physical or magic. We'll use my character, my weapon master. His primary damage type is physical, highlighted by the strength physical and physical crit, as opposed to intelligence, magical attack and magical crit. So that's taken care of. Is my character percent or fixed? Well, physical attack is out of all these kinds of attacks, physical and magic pertain to percent damages. You can even hover over the stats and it will give you a brief description of what they provide. It increases percentage damage based physical attack, and the independent attack is grayed out because it mostly boosts fixed damage based physical damage attack. So if I were let's say if I was a fixed physical character, then the independent attack will be highlighted, but not physical attack. We can also find out based on the damage type of our strongest awakening skill, which is the awakening. Our attack and damage type is physical and percent. But that's just a niche way of looking at it. your main source of information is in your status. Now, does my character innately deal a certain type of element? For the Blade Masters, none of their passives provide that allows them to deal an elemental damage. Because of this, I have to rely on artifacts. Be on the lookout for, if none, we use the blue artifact or the cube contract to allow us to inflict damage a specific element, and a select one. So what I mean by that is, if you have specific elemental damage and chance on your character, let's say light damage, then of course you want your character to inflict light damage. But what if your character has all elemental damage and chant? Then if your character has all elemental damage, it will give all of these numbers will be the same. There will be an outlier where you'll find out if one of them is higher than the other, and if that's the case, that's your main focus for inflicting the damage. So in my case, my highest number is light damage. I would want to inflict light damage, and it's reflected by the artifact, blue artifact. Now, what if I don't have an artifact? Well, in my opinion, the artifacts are a lot cheaper than the cube contract. If you don't have a creature, that's understandable, but you can use event characters as well, right? Even if a creature doesn't have stats on it, just like this one, for example, the witch creature doesn't have any stats on it, but I can equip artifacts. Make sure you have a blue artifact on to be able to inflict elemental damage. Now, if you have a cube contract and you don't have a corresponding blue artifact, then you can use the cubes to help you inflict that specific element. So if I didn't have this blue artifact that allows me to inflict light damage, I will choose the white cube contract, the white cube fragment, because it will allow me to inflict light damage. If I have the blue artifact that allows me to inflict the damage I want, then I can opt for the clear cube fragment, which will allow me to deal extra damage. There is almost no cases where you would use the gold cube contract, the gold cube fragment over the clear cube fragment, because again, critical chance is one of the more permanent upgrades that you can give your character. Some characters have a high amount of crit chance built into their kit, built into their passives, so you wouldn't need to use this one. I know on my status it says that I don't have 100% crit. I guess I should do that too. I still have 100% crit for consistent damage. So there's a few ways of doing this. One mainly is through your skills. You can get up to 10 points of critical chance, which is 10%. Again, just look through your character's passives. Some of them will give you bonus crit chance. Maybe your buff will provide you with crit. My skill gives me crit. That's why my physical crit is at 87.5. A good way of checking this is going through the training room. Now that I'm in a simulated dungeon, my total crit is over 100. If you have over 100% crit, it's not gonna do anything, unfortunately, but it's good to know that you have if you have at least 100%, because that way you'll be doing consistent damage, which is what we want. Now, another aspect of your gear will be emblems. Right to the room. Emblems and avatars are mostly cosmetic, unless you have clones where you can equip emblems on them. Emblems give you additional stats. The top and the hair and hat will give you access to red emblems. Torso and face are yellow emblems. Waist and shoes are blue emblems. Top and bottom are green emblems. Green emblems is what you would spend some time looking for critical chance emblems that match your character's damage. Since my character deals physical damage, I want to look for physical crit chance emblems and vice versa. Since my character is a physical class, I want strength emblems. The strength increases my physical damage. Since my character is melee, then attack speed emblems will benefit me the most as opposed to casting emblems. And of course, for blue emblems, you have a choice of movement speed or evasion. Personally, I like movement speed because it will allow me to reposition myself if I'm ever in a sticky situation. As for weapon avatars, your aura and your skin, those have multicolored emblem sockets. You'll have free reign on what kind of emblems your character is lacking. So for example, if your character, once you enter a dungeon, doesn't have 100% crit, then you may increase it with you may add green critical chance emblems according to your character's damage type. This will be my cheat sheet depending on the kind of character that you have. If your character is, let's say, an elemental bomber, elemental bombers do magic damage, rely on casting, do magic damage, and are slow. You don't need to overthink blue emblems, just go for movement speed. Movement speed is a very nice general option, and it's very seldom that you would get the stat anywhere else aside from party buffs. Okay, so now let's talk about sets. Do not focus your energy into getting specific sets. I would highly recommend to just equip the set you have the most set points for. When you click the armory, your highest set point set, the set with the highest amount of set points will give you a general path to upgrading your character, and it is the least taxing option for your character because you can just continue to ride that gear all the way through endgame, and you will have very little to no repercussions because of that. But if you happen to have the option to choose your sets, then I would recommend choosing a set that will give you the least amount of headache. In my case, I wouldn't recommend the gold set because this set will give you bonuses based on how much you have invested on your character in terms of amplification and reinforcement. Got to add that. Plus 12 reinforce. So reinforcement costs gold to increase the damage of your weapon. Refine will be independent attack and is usually reserved for fixed classes. Amplification is a lot pricier because the rates are more abysmal compared to reinforcement. Reinforcement will also give you stats, but it's usually not worth it. So if you're going to heavily invest in your gear and you want to amplify, then you would go for the endless gold set. Generally speaking, you want at least plus 10 on everything in order to make a dent with this. Dragon Arena is a set that gives you more damage based on how much clear cube fragments you spend. Activating this set will multiply the cost of your clear cube fragments. So it's okay, I guess. If you have a huge surplus of clear cube fragments, this will do a lot of damage. Cleansing Darkness is your cooldown reduction set. This is by far the easiest set to settle with because there is only one activation for this set, and it's to give you extra cooldown reduction. That's it. So this is a very good option if you want a little to no investment on your character. If you want to just spam your skills, this is the way to go. Magic Domain it's okay. Again, it's more so a set that relies on the special object damage, which is what the set will proc whenever you attack. It will have special attacks every time you do damage. Serendipity is your RNG set. RNG in terms of what skills will be refreshed, what skills will have reduced cooldown. So if you like random resets on your skills, this is the set you want to go for. Overwhelming Nature, just like Magic Domain, it's more so a special object damage set. Little to no investment. It's a good overall set to pick. Ethereal Orbs has a bit of learning curve to it. You're going to obtain orbs, and spend them for a boost in damage. Classes that are popular with this set include the Kunoichi or Dark Knight. Actually, I don't know if Dark Knights even use this set, but any class with a lot of upfront damage or can unload their skills in a short amount of time, or it can make them a really good use of this set. Alpha of the Pack turns your character into a synergy class in a party. If you're running solo, it's a very good class. I highly recommend this if you don't want to invest on your character too much, or not at all, I guess, and you still want to be able to be valuable in parties. Just make sure to activate the equipment option, because that is the primary reason you are a synergy. It will not take effect if you just do damage alone. You need to be able to proc the synergy effect. Soul Fairy, again, special object. You will have fairies that will follow you and do damage while you're there. You don't even need to do damage for them to do damage. They're kind of just there. Just be mindful if there are gimmicks in the future that requires you to not attack. Soul Fairies have an option that will let you stop, that will command them to stop attacking. Keep that in mind. Death in the Shadows, another good general set. This will allow you to teleport to specific targets, namely strong ones. If your character has low mobility like mages or grapplers, this is a good set to be. Or if you're a character that relies on back attacks like the Rogue or the Shadow Dancer, this is a good set to use. Ancient Battlefield Valkyrie, another good general here to have. You can use there's a dashing effect there, but other than that, another okay set. Beyond Limit Energy set. This is the set you use if your character, or if you, the player, just wants to press one or two buttons, namely your awakenings. They will do the most damage out of your entire kit, and each tier of the set will increase those values and also decrease their cooldown reduction. For buffers, the cooldown reduction does not apply to your awakenings because they're basically huge batteries. And then Tales from the Dimension, this is just a bridgestone from, if you don't have a specific set available to you yet. This is going through a different dungeon. It's okay. It's weaker than the general sets that you have here, and this is a lot easier to complete. But in terms of levels, in terms of tier, the highest you can obtain is legendary, so take what you will from that. So that is our introduction to sets. Lastly, I think I should have included this in the beginning, but it changes so much that I would be doing it justice if I saved the best for last, which are events. Events have their own kind of missions. As of the recording of this video, we have a perfect winter planning event, which asks you to collect crayons from defeating bosses and dungeons. Collect crayons, turn them in to observe our snow mages through their daily lives, and then you get rewards. You get Doom Oracles, and you get access to the shop for some nifty rewards like growth capsule boxes, distinct fusion for your character, and special beats. Okay, to recap, for content, pay attention to the daily and weekly dungeons. You can see it via this notepad over here. Clear the daily missions and the weekly missions. Advanced dungeons are open any day of the week, and you can clear 2 times per character per week. I guess I should specify that it's 2 unique dungeons. So if you clear, let's say you clear Temple of Death on your weapon master, then Temple of Death will not be open until the next week, is Tuesday. So every week I can complete Temple of Death and Azure Main, or Temple of Death and Moon Submerged Lake, but I cannot complete Temple of Death twice because completing it will lock me out for the entire week. So that's what I mean by 2 unique dungeons per character per week. Legion dungeons, same thing, but the the run count is reduced to 1, and I can run this on my weapon master, and then he's done for the week. I can run out my soulbender, he's done for the week, etc, etc. And Venus is your main source of fusion stones for the left side of your gear. Raids, namely the Nabel raid, is your main source of fusion stones for the right side of your gear and to upgrade your weapon. I should also include that as in. So solo raids, and I think matchmaking will give you the regular raid, and the matchmaking will give you materials to upgrade your weapon, but solo will not. Keep that in mind. And then for the rest of your fatigue, run your disciples of doom to farm the set pieces that you're running. If you want to farm gold instead, track malefic energy is the best place you can run. It may not yield you much gold, but it is a place to start. I wanna add that for track malefic energy, you will get materials to access Annihilate the Maleficent, which will give you materials to sell in the auction hall, and that will yield more money and more gold. As for your gear, primarily you want to match the status of your character. Just be on the lookout for this middle section over here. This is the most important part, and the element. If you pay attention to what's highlighted on the characters, in my case, the Blade Master's primary stats are strength, physical attack, crit, and your emblems and enchants should reflect that. As for your weapon, you need to have at least a plus 12 reinforcement on your weapon for percent classes, and then a level of 8 refinement for fixed classes to do some standard damage. Make sure you're equipping the correct emblems on your character's avatars. Strength for physical classes, intelligence for magic, attack or casting yellow emblems based on the type of damage, the type of range your character does. Physical and magical crit chance, again depending on the damage type of your character. And then generally speaking, movement speed blue emblems are the pick. You covered the damage type of your characters. Make sure that you figure out what your character does through passives. If your character does not have an element that they can naturally proc, invest on a creature, or you can even use event creatures to be able to equip artifacts, and then invest in a blue artifact that inflicts the elemental damage of your choice. In doing so, it will highlight one of these elements, and generally speaking, you want to be able to inflict damage where you have the highest elemental damage of. Once you have the cube contract unlocked, you can also pick one of these 4 elements. If you are able to inflict an elemental damage via the blue artifact, or your character simply can naturally inflict a specific element, then I highly recommend choosing the cube fragment from your contract. You also want 100% crit for consistent damage. This can be done in the form of your character's passives. Make sure that sometimes your character will not reflect 100% in town, but if you go to the training room and you activate specific buffs, or specific passives will only activate when you're in a dungeon and it becomes at least 100%, then you're good to go. And in terms of sets, prioritize on whatever you have the most of. Don't stress too much about it, but if you have the time and you want to invest in it, access the armory and take some time in browsing through the different sets. Tales of the Dimension set is not among the sets that's going to be prominent or effective in the later content and more difficult content. So for example, if you're heavily invested in the character in terms of amplification, reinforcement, gold is the way to go. If you kind of just want to spam skills, cleansing is very good. If you just want to do damage and you want your set to do damage on its own, Soul Fairy is good. And if you want to rely on awakenings more than the rest of your skills, Beyond Limit Energy set is the set that you're looking for. Etchaboikaizen, I know that was a lot to cover, but I hope you more or less have a grasp on things now that we're in level 115. This kind of information will transcend levels for the most part, and how you go about the levels, how you go about it now will carry on as the game gets more complicated, or not, but at least you have a general idea on how to upgrade your character, how to carry yourself into the later stages of the game. I will see you guys in my next couple of videos. If you have stayed this far into the video, I want to address something real quick regarding my other games that I've posted in the video. I will be posting more of those, but I will not forget to post DFO videos. That is one of my my primary game so far in this channel. So if you guys would like to support me in watching those videos as well, thank you very much. If not, that's cool too. I will see you guys in the next DFO video. Peace.